Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't only the biggest box office draw of the 2010s, but for my money, it's redefined filmmaking and what the audience expects from a movie-going experience. Over the course of the early 21st century, we saw a shift in how people spend their money and what people are willing to spend money on. Because of that, the entertainment medium has been forced to make that shift as well. No longer are people looking for hard copies of albums or movies. Instead, they're experiencing film and music and other entertainment forms through streaming services like Netflix and Spotify. And the film industry is at a difficult time getting people to movie theaters for something that feels unfamiliar. Whether we want to admit it or not, movie studios continue to make sequels and remakes because they're the safest bet with the biggest box office draw. Of the top 50 highest grossing films of all time, 40 of them are either remakes or feature characters we're already familiar with. But it's Marvel Studios who understands the 21st century entertainment industry almost more than anybody else. Marvel Studios had a mixed launch in 2009, with Iron Man becoming a global phenomenon and the Incredible Hulk, well, not so much. But what did work is that Marvel had a larger master plan that they never fully committed to at the very beginning. Unlike DC Comics Universe and Universal's Dark Universe, which were launched with several films already on the slate, Marvel had their plans but didn't give their hopes up. Luckily, Iron Man worked phenomenally, and fans got excited about future installments of Marvel films, especially with a tease in the post-credits scene about Iron Man becoming the first recruit for the Avengers. Adding the hint at the very end of the first Iron Man film gave the studio some leeway. If Iron Man didn't work, then this was just a tease at the very end of a film and no harm done. But if it did work, like it did, they could elaborate on what the Avengers may become in the future. And with money to do so with the buyout from Disney and with the success of the first Iron Man film, Marvel moved forward with their secret plans to create a much larger universe. As the 2010s played out, we had over 20 different Marvel Studios films, all in some way connected to each other. These films, or what they dubbed the Infinity Saga, do a lot of things right that audiences enjoyed. First and foremost, they give us something familiar. First introduced in 2009's Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark plays a role in 9 of those Marvel movies. But even in instances where we don't know the lead character, like in Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, or Captain Marvel, those films still adhere to a certain formula that have character development, comedy, and lots of fun action. The promise of Marvel Studios is that you can watch all of these films and have a deeper and greater understanding of the characters you're involved with. Or, with all of the non-Avengers films, they can be seen as a one-off, not needed to understand the larger arc going on between all of the films. You could have easily skipped a film like Thor: The Dark World or Black Panther and still know what's going on when you head into a film like Infinity War. Marvel Studios, unlike other film franchises, take their approach from their origins, the comic book. Comics allow readers to begin a series with issue 1, or if they want to, they can jump right into issue 5 and get caught up fairly well. You could even skip an entire series if you wanted to, jumping into a comic book like The Avengers and learning about new characters pretty quickly and understanding the plot lines because they're never overly complicated. Marvel succeeds most on these basic principles. They're not trying to sell you on some thoughtful independent film. Marvel movies are big blockbuster movies, but they make blockbusters better than anybody else. And through good filmmaking that doesn't necessarily rock the boat, but also doesn't become overplayed because they continue to elaborate on the characters we love, they've gained our trust. Now, as new Marvel Studios films and TV shows come out, we know what to expect and can get excited about what's to come. We can expect a good time whether or not we're familiar with those characters because they've gained audience trust with us over the course of time. Trust and familiarity have created the groundwork, but Marvel continues to add new layers. Unlike previous superhero films like the X-Men franchise or the early Spider-Man films, Marvel Studios has decided to add in new story elements, pulling from genre filmmaking. Captain America: The Winter Soldier is a political thriller, Ant-Man is a heist film, and the Guardians of the Galaxy pulls from those misfit teen comedies of the 1980s. These added layers make for fresh storytelling, allowing our characters to add new dimensions to themselves, and letting audiences come in with a familiarity, but also walking away with a new appreciation. Don't get me wrong, there are a ton of things to criticize about the Marvel films. There are a lot of YouTube essayists who have already made videos about those things. We could talk for hours about the lack of really good villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how it took nearly a decade to get any kind of lead character that wasn't a white male, or how the lack of really fun color in the Marvel movies makes them look kind of ugly. I'm talking straight to you, Patrick Willems. But despite all of those flaws, audiences still flock to go see the next Marvel movie, because they treat us to something that's familiar, but also something that's new and exciting. And we can't really say the same things for the Disney remakes, the Harry Potter sequels, any of the James Bond films, or even the Star Wars Skywalker saga. And now that we've moved past the 2010s into a brand new decade, we can look into the future and how Marvel Studios won't only capitalize on the filmmaking industry, but is now veering back into the television industry. I say going back into television because they've already proven their worth with basic television shows like Cloak and Dagger and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they did a phenomenal job with a Netflix series like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, and Iron Fist. But the difference going forward into the next decade is that although those shows were fantastic and did fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they didn't really impact the films at all. No one was clamoring for Jessica Jones when all of the Marvel superheroes were battling against Thanos. And no one was wondering where Luke Cage was when they were jumping into the quantum realm. The new Disney Plus shows that are coming out are set to be intertwined with the films that are coming out along the same time period. And that means that Marvel Studios, who have already done a good job with allowing us into the lives of their characters, are now letting us in to an even deeper place with these television series. And we can understand these heroes even more as they cross between the silver screen and our screens at home. Having the ability to set up these truly meaningful TV series is going to be the saving grace for Marvel moving forward. About 40 million people watched The Mandalorian in its first week on Disney Plus, and those numbers only grew week after week as it surpassed other shows like Stranger Things and Game of Thrones. And more than anything, the show sparked a lot of conversation that lasted weeks on end. And Marvel, with its brand loyalty and trust, is sure to not only make those same record numbers, but possibly break them as well. And as the TV shows are destined to bleed into the films, we'll most likely continue to see Marvel films dominate at the box office. A show like WandaVision, which is going to be bleeding into the next Doctor Strange film, is going to have a synergistic value, creating big box office numbers for Doctor Strange and giving more in-depth looks at characters like Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Stephen Strange. It's astonishing to me that Marvel's been the only true studio to grasp these ideas of familiarity, genre filmmaking, trust, and synergy. DC had the opportunity to be synergistic between their CW Arrowverse and the films on screen when they put out the Justice League. When opting to add the Flash to their films, they opted not to cast Grant Gustin, who'd been playing the Flash on their CW series. Universal's Dark Universe never even made it past their first movie, despite having tons of plans for years to come. But with The Mummy bombing at the box office, they just weren't able to build trust and loyalty with any kind of audience. Jurassic World and its sequels are just too similar to Jurassic Park and its sequels, supplying nothing that's really new to any audiences. And Star Wars is slowly losing trust with its audience thanks to behind-the-scenes drama. Though the formula is yet to be duplicated, Marvel Studios has built a clear enough path that it's only a matter of time before someone else comes into the entertainment industry and makes a mark like the MCU has. And where that comes from is completely uncertain. But what's undeniable is that Marvel Studios and their universe of characters have completely changed filmmaking throughout the 2010s. And audiences bought in, creating a shift in what we as viewers expect from good blockbuster storytelling. If we're going to drop $15 to head to the movie theaters, the film we're about to see better be as good as or better than any of the films in Marvel's cinematic universe. In short, Marvel's changed the landscape of cinema for both the filmmaker and the audience. But I'd like to know what you guys think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its impact on the last decade, and what it looks like going forward. Does the MCU continue to be the big box office powerhouse that it is, or does it fall to the wayside? And leave a comment down below, and while you're down there, check out the description where we've got a link to our Patreon page where you can get all kinds of exclusives, as well as our store where you can get a shirt with our umbrella logo on it, or any other kind of shirt. And until next time, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you clicking on this video and watching to this point, and until next time, keep on moving, people.